The Elevation Church early days were quite intriguing, interesting, and will I say a bit of some adventure in faith.
We would sit around the dining table at PG's house. Back then it was in Bagada, and we were discussing about this church. Church didn't have a name. We didn't even know where it was going to be situated.
Speaking
over the years. As a matter of housekeeping, we have about 3 exits in the hall, 2 to the back of the building and another one to my right-hand side. To begin the process, or to begin the session, please join me as I welcome to the high table Pastor Debo Omotunde, the Director of Global Ministry, the Elevation Church. Please let's welcome him with a round of applause. Thank you. Also joining him, we have Busola Wale, Pastor Busola Wale Shinyobola, the Group Head, General Services, Elevation Church. Please welcome. Also welcome to the high table Pastor Kola Fayemi, General Counsel and Head of Global Missions, the Elevation Church. Please let's keep clapping. And Pastor Leonard Thomas, Executive Director, Pistis Empowerment Foundation. Yeah, please. Thank you very much. We also have Pastor Lanre Olokunde, Resident Pastor, the Elevation Church Festac. Thank you very much. The agenda for the day is pretty straightforward. We'll take opening remarks from Pastor Debo. But before we do, we have a video interlude that we'll watch, and thereafter we'll take the opening presentation from Pastor Debo Omotunde, as well as adjoining statements from the other speakers on the high table. We'll also have a very short time, about 5 minutes, for questions and answers, and then we'll take a closing remarks. And we expect, to join us during the course of the press conference, Pastor Godman Akinlabi and his wife as well. So thank you and welcome to the press conference once again. We'll take the video interlude now.
The Elevation Church early days were quite intriguing, interesting, and will I say a bit of some adventure in faith.
We would sit around the dining table at PG's house. Back then it was in Bagada, and we were discussing about this church. Church didn't have a name. We didn't even know where it was going to be situated.
speaking to PG, and PG began to talk about what this church would be called, that he sees a church he sees something being on a height, and we toyed with different names before we landed on Elevation.
A lot of people can see PG as very officious, preaching. PG throws jokes that kept us laughing for hours. I saw a big, a heap of pounded yam close to the altar. Jollof rice was everywhere.
When I came here, it didn't look like the normal church setting to me. I mean, it's chill, there's no sweat, there's no ox fat making noise and all of that.
I joined as a single man with no direction, no focus, and the Elevation Church has been an instrumental part of my entire journey.
At that age, I didn't really understand anything, but I remember clearly when I took part of a drama production with my brother, which was about 5 years ago. That memory has stayed with me ever since.
I remember there's a statement PG made. I remember he said that he was not mature when he got married. I said, if PG was not mature.
We did a song. I can imagine what that song would have been like. I did the rap, Pastor Jide and Pastor Timothy were the ones that, sang along.
And they asked the question, where is your church? I said, the church is on the island. And the next thing this guy said is, now Naki Jesus, why do you have to go that far? Because you want to serve him.
Thank you very much. There you have it, rooted in greatness. So we'll take the opening remark from Pastor Debo in the next 5 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Once again, I want to welcome the gentlemen of the press. Let me start by apologizing that we started a lot later than scheduled. We will try and move on swiftly. Now that we have started, I want to welcome you on behalf of our global lead pastors, Pastor Godman and Akinlabi, the visionaries behind what we see today as the Elevation Church. Friday this week, 10th of October, will mark 15 years of the existence of the Elevation Church. It has been a story of impact. It has been a story of growth. It has been a story of life transformation and of empowerment. 10th of October 2010, the Elevation Church was launched at the City Mall at Unicon in a hall called Magnolia Hall. And at the time, we had a launch team of about 70 people who constituted essentially the church back then. And from that humble beginning, today, we're a church of 30 branches that we call expressions, spread all over the world. We have 19 expressions in Nigeria and 11 expressions in Europe, UK, Brussels, Cyprus, in Canada, and in the United States of America. And that is a testament to the favor of God and the grace of God that we enjoyed as a church, and the sterling leadership that we have also enjoyed. Elevation Church has been given a mandate by God to make greatness common. Our mission essentially is to empower people to achieve the highest level of greatness in life, serving God and humanity with passion. The shorter version of that is making greatness common. We recognize that greatness means service. Service to God, service to humanity. And in order for us to be able to serve God effectively, we need to be able to realize and recognize the gifts, the unique abilities and graces He has given us, and deploy those gifts to be a blessing to the people that God has placed around us, to use those gifts to solve problems, to use those gifts to impact lives. Indeed, that will require that we ourselves grow in our capacity to make a difference. And that's what we've seen Elevation Church do. Elevation Church has raised leaders. Elevation Church has empowered people. The fact that we now have 30 campuses is a testament to our leadership development. We have these campuses being led by pastors, both full-time and bivocational, ministers, both full-time and bivocational, that are making a difference in different cities of the world, discipling people, ministering to different needs as the opportunities arise. As we celebrate our 15-year anniversary, we look back and we see all kinds of manifestation of the wisdom of God through the ministry of the Elevation Church. Not only have we raised leaders within the church who are serving in ministries, the Elevation Church has also been a place where we have raised people who are influencing the marketplace. We have people who came to a church, very simple, lacking direction, but today who are leading businesses that are shaping different sectors of our economy. Whether it's in the fintech space, the real estate space, the finance space, even in government and politics, we have people who have grown and are shining the light and are representing God and making a difference in the different spaces where they have been called. In order for us to fully understand how the Elevation Church is structured and what has happened over the past 15 years, I'd like to just quickly mention our approach to ministry. And I'm going to give my colleagues who are on the table opportunity to speak to different dimensions and aspects of our ministry. I'm going to start by speaking to the ministries that we have set up to be a blessing to the body of Christ. We call that the Exponential Network. The Exponential Network was set up about 9 years ago, and it was our recognition of the fact that God had given us a measure of success and growth in ministry that occasioned our seeing the need to share out of the blessings and the wisdom that we have gained in ministry to impact other churches. And so we set up the Exponential Network to be a place where we resource pastors and ministry leaders and ministry-minded marketplace people with the tools that they require to be able to lead well and to be able to fulfill their God-given assignment. Over the past 9 years, next year will be 10 years of the Exponential Network, we have been able to resource close to 200,000 pastors. A significant number have been part of our conferences virtually. Many have attended our conferences physically. We have had conferences in Lagos, Nigeria. We've had conferences outside Nigeria. God has opened the doors to African countries where we've gone. Liberia is an example. Togo, an example. We've been to Burundi and to some of these nations where the churches are currently struggling. And we've gone there to strengthen pastors and ministers and to equip them with the toolkit they require to be able to deliver ministry that honors God and that in very concrete ways transforms the society. Our conferences in Nigeria have attracted people from all the 36 states of the country, and what we've also seen, people coming from scores of nations all over the world. At my last count, probably like over 40 countries from all over the world represented at the conference. So we are not just impacting people within our church community, we are also a ministry that is impacting people outside the church community, but within the body of Christ. We have also been graced to set up a social impact engine called the Pistis Empowerment Foundation. Many people are familiar with the Obomi project run by the Pistis Foundation. Pastor Lee is going to speak a bit to that. But I just want to give a little background that on the 26th of December 2010 was our first initiative to reach the underserved in our community. We were just about 2 months old when we observed there were people around our church who were underserved. And we felt a need to be able to reach out to them, to be a blessing to them. And so we spent the Boxing Day of that year, we were just about 2 months old, sitting with these people, sharing a meal with them, and preaching the gospel to them. And that eventually, scaled to our consistent weekend outreach to these less privileged people that then ultimately morphed into what we know today as the Pistis Foundation, a ministry vehicle set up by the Elevation Church to resource and empower less privileged people. I also like to speak to our recent ministry initiative that is a culture-shaping vehicle. We call that the Ilwe Production. Ilwe Production was launched just about 3 years ago, and our goal had been to be able to help people who are creatives to be able to give expression to their gifts. And the first project we did with Ilwe Production is called The Wives, a 10-episode series that is now on YouTube. Has been making waves. Today has over 1.6 million views. And what we have done with that is to be able to contribute to discussions about real-life issues so that people who ordinarily will not come to church can get an opportunity to be influenced by kingdom values through the content that we create and we push out there. Not only has that been a successful launch, it has also created a platform and avenue for creatives within our church and outside our church community who are believers to be able to give expression to their gifts. Like I said earlier on, our goal, our mission as a church is to help anyone we come in contact with recognize the rich deposit of God on their inside and give them opportunity and the guidance they require to use these gifts and graces to be a blessing to their world. We also have a ministry vehicle that we set up about 5 years ago, the Pistis Life and Leadership Institute, which is our ministry special purpose engine for leadership development. We believe that if Nigeria and indeed Africa will be transformed, we need to create robust training and development systems outside our regular tertiary and secondary school systems, our tertiary institutional and secondary school systems that will teach people leadership in the marketplace, leadership where politics and governance is concerned, leadership where business is concerned, and then leadership in the ministry space as well. PLLI has been running successfully for a couple of years now, and we're going into strategic partnerships that will equip and resource us and enable us to be able to even reach more people and provide more cutting-edge leadership training. That is our commitment as a church. I'm going to be handing the mic over to one of our very, very senior leaders who oversees the network that coordinates our youth ministry. The Elevation Church is a church that doesn't just cater to the very advanced, the generation X and Y. We are also a church that is very sensitive to young people. They form the majority of society. And recognizing the need for us as a church to be able to speak directly to their needs and minister to them, we set up what we now call the Life Point churches. They are an expression of the Elevation Church, but they're targeted at people who are young at heart, who have a different vibe when it comes to the way they worship, the way they want to fellowship, and who have peculiar needs that we know as a church we need to be able to speak to. And so the Life Point Church, the first church, was started 2016, and today has grown to become a network of churches. I'm going to invite Pastor Bosola to speak to us about Life Point Ministry, which is a ministry to the very young at heart. Pastor Bosola.
Thank you very much, Pastor Debo. Good afternoon, members of the press. So just as Pastor Debo has introduced, Life Point actually started out as a dream on the heart of our global lead pastor, Pastor Godman, right? And it was birthed in 2016. It is a unique expression of the Elevation Church that exists as a youth movement that is committed to helping young people find their voice, their purpose, and expression in faith, creativity, and community. And over the years, it has existed as a church in 4 locations locally, but a large movement of young people spread across different parts of the world. Part of the reasons Life Point began was a direct response to addressing the pains and the pressures that exist with young people. And so a lot of the initiatives that come through the Life Point expression are initiatives that are targeted at addressing this pain point and this pressure point. And I'm just going to talk very briefly about some of the things that we have done and some of the things that we're looking to even doing better as we continue to grow within the Elevation Church ecosystem. In collaboration with Surge, another ministry that is filled with young people at the Elevation Church, we organize what is called the Hangout, an interactive event for young singles, combining faith, fun, and honest conversations in a safe space, and just helping people find purpose and just express themselves where their marital destinies are concerned. It's a refreshing space where, there's comedy. We know that sometimes, it can be hard living and existing in Nigeria. But we bring young people together to encourage them, to remind them that God has created us for aggregation and not for isolation. We are meant to exist in families, and so we create that opportunity every year for young people to gather in a fun, safe atmosphere. We also have what we call the How We Made It in Africa initiative. Prior to now, this has always been an annual event that we organize, and essentially its purpose is to help young people see what is possible, especially in Africa. There's a lot of narrative around how hard it is to do business, how hard it is to thrive. So what we do is we bring success stories and we show our people that it is possible to live out that God-given vision, to express that seed of greatness that God has implanted in each and every one of us. But from this year, we've also received a mandate to morph this beyond just an annual event into creating an active community of young innovators and professionals, right, that are redefining the African narrative across industries. So we're going to be creating this through different mixers. We're going to be doing a lot more than we're currently doing, really, beyond just the annual events. Real stories will be told. There will be mentorship opportunities, hand-holding within industries and within sectors in industries. We have what we call the Unplugged Conversations, which, again, is a safe space that we've created. Young people like to express themselves. They don't just want to be told things. They want to be able to question and challenge certain mindsets and narratives. We create that opportunity where we're able to answer questions that are focused on faith, focused on values, on purpose, and the expression of talent and of industry. Lastly, we have what we call the Growing Business Sunday. This, interestingly, we're excited about something that we're planning to execute towards the end of this year in partnership with SMEDAN. But it's a monthly trade fair that we conduct, spotlighting small and growing businesses within our community. Essentially, its purpose is to promote visibility, collaboration, and of course, shared learning, encouraging our young people to continue to, express that vision of being builders that exists within them. That would be all from LifePoint. Thank you very much. At this point, I'll hand over to Pastor Kola Fahimi, our Global Missions Pastor.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks and good afternoon, everyone. And just to speak about the systems and the structures, from a corporate side. One of the things that we have seen about the Elevation Church is that we've been able to, in the last 15 years, create a corporate structure for both the way we express ministry and then also as an organization. And we believe that church, should not remain in the traditional sense of it, right? We are a governance church. We are a church, that is redefining how church, should be set up, structured and all of that. And so we have within the ministry of the Elevation Church professionals. We have, a fully staffed HR team, finance team. We have professionals, in IT, in project management, in legal, in regulatory, and our church is set up in such a way that people, come to work, right, every day, and they go back home as people who have come, So they say, I'm going to work. Yes, you're going to work, but where is work? Where is your office? Your office is in church, and that's quite, profound. There is an organizational setup that we have put in place, in the way we run the Elevation Church, so that people can drive their career, people can, build their career whilst working in the church. And that's really unique because up until now, the whole thinking, every time you think about church, you only think about pastors, right? But here at the Elevation Church, we have engineers who work with us. We have people in the production team. We have people in, like I said, in IT. We have people, in communications. And these are people who support, who who run the office, the back engine that supports ministry. And it was important, for us to be able to create that opportunity for people, to come in and still find fulfillment, in their professional career, while at the same time, they're also using their skill, their talent, to drive ministry. And so how has that helped us? That has helped us because today, like Pastor Deba had said, we have transitioned, from becoming, from being a church that is in one location to a global church planting movement. And part of my portfolio, is to oversee global missions and church planting. And because of the very robust back office, back engine that we have created, we have been able to, express ministry at a bigger scale. We have been able to push, the message of Jesus, through different platforms, through different, setups, through technology, through media, into new territories, into new cities, into new countries. And today, we are seeing that really, really paying off for us. God has given us a global ministry, and as we celebrate our 15th anniversary, we are not stopping. We are seeing God, calling us, to get into new cities, to get into new countries, and we are taking the gospel of Jesus into those places. We are planting churches, and lives are being transformed. In fact, there are people who have come to know Jesus, in our churches, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in the US, and all of this is just because we're a church that is set up, to make impact. We're a church that is set up, to push the frontiers, of impact beyond our local community where this vision started, in Lagos here. And today, we're doing all of this all over the world. And it is just so beautiful to look back today and to see that the Elevation Church is 15, and we have been able to do all of these things. We now have 30 expressions, across various, countries, in Europe, in Africa, in the US, in Canada, and just before this year would run out, we are still planting churches. Our latest church in Lagos, Nigeria, is going to come up in Surulere. We're setting up a church in Cyprus, and then also in the United States, and that's North Carolina. And, the work is still going, and we just want to give God praise and put a spotlight on how far God has brought us and some of the things that God is also pushing in our hands, into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Kola.
Thank you.
Like I said earlier, we, as a church, recognize that there are many opportunities that God has afforded us to be able to make a difference in our society, in our environment. We are not a church that is just fixated on Sunday services and worship experiences. We recognize that we are meant to be the light of the world and the salt of the earth. And so what you would observe about the Elevation Church is that we have special ministry engines that are being set up by the church to be able to impact society in a very focused, intentional, and strategic manner. And one of such engines is the Pistis Empowerment Foundation. The Pistis Empowerment Foundation has been set up to be able to reach, resource, and empower the less privileged in our society. We have the executive director of the Pistis Empowerment Foundation here, who's going to talk us through the journey so far and give us a sense of what we're looking forward to achieving and accomplishing in the next couple of years. Please receive with me Pastor Leonard Thomas.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please, before you go on, sir, I just want to acknowledge the audience watching us online. Thank you for joining in with the press conference. As soon as we take the statements from everyone on the high table, we'll have a very short time to ask questions. So if you have questions that you would like addressed during the press conference, you can drop them while we'll take them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And good afternoon to Gentlemen and ladies of the press, you're welcome to this press conference once again. My name, like Pastor Debo had rightly shared, is Leonard F. Thomas. I have the privilege of serving over the Pistis Empowerment Foundation. The foundation was set up in 2018. We were launched in 2018 to be precise, and we have 3 key focus areas, being health, education, and shelter. Before we actually decided to focus on those 3 areas, we had to analyze the issues around the world, as well as Africa and Nigeria. We also focused or put our spotlight on the 17 Social Development Goals, or SDG goals, as many of us know them, set up by the United Nations, and we took 2 out of them, being health and education. If you live around the island axis, you will also observe a lot of street children, and we saw that we needed to address that, and we set up a shelter. But let me narrow down on a number of the initiatives that we have done over the past 6 or 7 years, because today, this month of October, makes it 7 years that we were also established as an organization. So under health, we have a flagship program known as UBOMI. Some of you may have heard about UBOMI. UBOMI actually means life in Xhosa. It's a South African language. And we initially started it as an annual outreach. To the glory of God, now we have scaled. This year alone, we have run 2 already. We had one in Abuja in the month of May, where we were able to conduct as much as 701 medical interventions. Just a few weeks ago, precisely September, we were able to successfully run about 7,000 plus medical interventions for 3 days within the Kirikiri correctional facilities, precisely across the female maximum and medium facilities of the Kirikiri prisons. We did that, of course, in collaboration with the Nigerian correctional facilities or centers. And the outreach also was a huge success. Just in the few weeks to come, precisely 3 weeks to come, we have the major outreach, which will also feature a lot of free surgical interventions. It will run for a whole week, from Monday to Friday, precisely 27th of October to 31st of October. And it's important to note that these outreaches are targeted towards, people who are not able to afford medical care, quality medical care, right? And, during each outreach, we garner medical practitioners, trained, certified from across the country, sometimes from outside of the country, who come in and give in of their time, their treasures, and their talent to serve humanity and serve God. And this year's own that is coming up, in a few weeks' time will not be any different. We have doctors who have already signed up from the US, from Canada, who are coming for this particular outreach. During each outreach, we will be conducting free eye cares, free eye surgeries, free dental care, free dental surgeries, as well as, people who have, cases like goiters, the big lumps on their necks, breast lumps, removals, fibroid cases will be addressed, hernias, and, essentially we will focus on primary and secondary health care during the outreach. It's important to also mention that all of this is usually done for free. For each UBOMI outreach, we usually will garner as much as 250 volunteers, of which about 120 of that number are medical practitioners. And also, all of that is done for free. Thank God for the support of the Elevation Church. And I'll probably just also add that while the church has been set up to cater to the spiritual needs of its members, the foundation has been set up to cater to the communities, those who are not even members of the church. So a Muslim, a Christian can walk into any of the outreaches and get quality care at no cost, right? So that is under our health initiative. Under education, as I speak, our flagship program is known as the PF Scholarship Program. So we run free scholarships for indigent children who are not able to, afford fees. Of course, their parents. One of the things that is also unique about our scholarship program is the fact that all our children are in private schools, apart from when they get into university. So as we started in 2019, with 16 children. As I speak, we're currently in 4 regions in Nigeria. We're currently in about 9 states where we have children. And we have been able to scale the program to about 400, close to about 400 children are being catered to when it comes to their educational needs. I would also like to mention that any beneficiary of our program, if they start from primary school, we actually see them through to university completion. And those are one of the unique features of our scholarship program. We plan to scale that number every year to add at least 200 children to the program. Anyone who is paying for school fees in our country today, currently, you know how much it is in private institutions, right? So that is under our educational initiative. On the last note, under our shelter program, we also currently have about 23 children that we piloted with in 2021. As I speak, most of those children were from the streets. In fact, all of them were from the streets. We piloted with them to see how we could also scale that number. We're at the point where we're now scaling, where at that verge where we'll take a bigger property. We've been able to secure a bigger space to achieve that goal, to at least 100 in the interim, because like you see in this environment, a number of those children who you see maybe knocking on your window if you're driving, they also need help. We see the need to intervene in their cases. When they come into the shelter, our model is to receive them, rehabilitate them, and refine them, or reintegrate them back into society. So we place them in schools, private schools to be precise. We also try as much as we can to address issues that bother around their background, bring them to that point where they're able to, view life differently, like how they used to see life on the streets. We also try as much as we can to work with the government to ensure that we're well regulated and ensure that we also connect with their parents, because some of them have their parents still alive, but they are not able to cater to them in a sound environment that will nurture them to become better citizens of society, right? So in a nutshell, these are some of the initiatives that we run under the Pistis Empowerment Foundation. And like I said earlier, we are the social intervention vehicle of the Elevation Church, and our goal is to ensure that we're able to scale our impact across different communities within the city of Lagos and Nigeria. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. I want to just very quickly also speak to another organization that we have been able to set up, in this case, not to minister to the needs of less privileged, but to also empower people who aspire to make a difference in the environments into which God has called them. And that is an institution we call the Pistis Life and Leadership Institute. As we were speaking, our global lead pastors walked into the room, and I think we'll just pause at this point to make room for them on the table. Please help receive with me our global lead pastors, Pastor Godman and Akinlabi.
Thank you.
the Pistis Life and Leadership Institute was set up to develop and resource competent and capable, character-driven leaders for Africa and beyond. We believe that one of the bane of development in our continent is lack of qualitative leadership. And so the Pistis Life and Leadership Institute has been set up to plug that gap. And so beyond our teachings in our services on Sundays and midweek, we recognize the need to be able to engage and teach leadership practically in a manner that enables people who engage our Leadership Institute with the toolkit that is required to be a problem solver out there. So we have a School of Enterprise Development for people who have a calling to lead in the marketplace. We have School of Politics and Governance for people who aspire to get involved in the political space. And then we have a School of Ministry Leadership where we resource and teach people who recognize they have a calling to be pastors and ministers in the fivefold ministry. Pistis Life and Leadership Institute has been running for a while now, and we've had cohorts of people graduate through these schools who are beginning to make a difference in the various spaces where they serve. One of our recent accomplishments with the Pistis Life and Leadership Institute is a partnership with Alt School, a school that is set up to resource and train people who desire to develop skills in the area of technology. And this initiative will provide a structured in-person learning at experience hubs. And this has given us the opportunity to be able to scale our service offerings to cover fields like cybersecurity, front-end engineering, back-end engineering, cloud engineering, data analysis, data science, product design, and product management. Like I said earlier on, as a church, we continue to identify the opportunities to make a difference in our society, and we seize them by being able to set up structures that enable us to strategically and meaningfully tackle those issues, and also to form strategic partnerships that equip us to be able to do so competently. One of the latest initiatives of the Elevation Church that we're really excited about is our artificial intelligence ministry. I'm sure many of us are aware that AI has become a thing. And as a church, we recognize that these tools are meant to simply enhance our capacity to be able to reach more people, to be able to touch more lives, and to be able to make a difference. And so just a couple of weeks ago, we had a soft launch for this ministry. And the driver of that initiative is right here on the table. Is going to talk us through our artificial intelligence ministry and what it has to offer in the new season that we're going into as a church. Please receive with me Pastor Lanre Olokunde to speak about our AI ministry.
All right. Thank you, PD. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Again, my name is Lanre Olokunde. You would agree with me that currently we stand at the edge of one of the most significant technological shifts that the world has ever experienced, and that is artificial intelligence. Just looking at OpenAI today, we have over 800 million weekly users, right? And so artificial intelligence is shaping the way we live, the way we work, where we go. And as a church, we are not taking a back seat when it comes to how we engage artificial intelligence. We can either just observe, maybe with confusion or with fear or with excitement, but we thank God for the visionary leadership of our global lead pastors who have set up a steering committee team just a few weeks ago to ensure that we engage artificial intelligence with clarity, with vision, with pioneering spirit. And it's been exciting because this is coming when we are celebrating our 15 years anniversary. So what have we done so far in the last few weeks? The AI Steering Committee of the Elevation Church, we've identified 4 key pillars that we are going to build the ministry upon, right? And I'm going to run us through those 4 key pillars and how the impact of those 4 key pillars on the church. The first pillar we are building the ministry on is what we've called the content and platform strategy, right? And the second major pillar is global missions and multilingual outreach. What we intend to do with these two key pillars is to, of course, break language barriers. We want to ensure that the gospel can go everywhere, anywhere, at the speed of light in real time, right? And we don't want to be limited by language. You know, in certain Asia, Latin America, places where even English is not their primary language, we are positioning AI to ensure that the gospel can get to those places. So those are the first two key pillars of the ministry. And then the interesting third key pillar of the ministry is what we've called the conversational and agentic AI. You would agree with me that, you know, when it comes to the subject of artificial intelligence, you hear things like generative AI, agentic AI, conversational AI. And to note, consumer behavior are changing. Like I said, we are at the verge of one of the strongest technological shifts, right? And as a church, we are not taking a backseat. How can we leverage agentic AI and conversational AI for discipleship? So we are building, leveraging messaging tools to build a chatbot around the messaging tools that most of our members are already using. And that is the major touch point of the ministry, you know, conversational and agentic AI. And then, of course, the fourth touch point or the foundational block for AI ministry of the Elevation Church is what we have called the global influence and thought leadership, right? So we're also working on key materials, white paper documents that can be a very good resource materials for the churches around the body of Christ globally. So those are the four major touch points of the AI ministry. What should be the expectation, or what are the key low-hanging fruit for us as a ministry? In the next few weeks, we'll be going live with the conversational AI on Telegram, right? That means that our members can engage with resources, with materials that can help them, you know, build their spiritual life, engage with messages, engage with resources that helps with discipleship, right? And of course, our first white paper document that would help to resource the body of Christ around the subject of artificial intelligence will also be released in the course before the end of the year. Just to mention that the opportunities around artificial intelligence and how we can leverage it as a church, they are very endless. And then the first 1 year of the ministry is just to lay the foundation around those four touch points I'd mentioned, and then build around it. Interestingly, this was announced on Sunday at all our expressions, and to mention that today we have over 100 volunteers across all our expressions with certain technological skills who are willing to deploy themselves in this ministry, and of course use this platform to make greatness common in their various spheres of influence. So it's an exciting time, and we are grateful to God for the leadership and the pioneering grace that is upon this house. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Pastor Larry. Even though as a church we gather as one congregation, you will agree with me that when you look at every church, it has unique demographics. And we're not a church that is careless or blindsided by the fact that we gather as one family to not reckon with the fact that these needs need to be catered to. So we have ministry initiatives catering to teenagers within our congregation. We have ministry initiatives taking responsibility for ensuring we have a robust ministry to our children and also to the men and the women community within the Elevation Church. With us this afternoon is our global lead pastor who spearheads our ministry to the teenagers, to the children, and of course to the women community within the Elevation Church. And she's going to be speaking to the journey so far and the future of these ministries. Please welcome Pastor Bola.
Thank you, Pastor Debo. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you for being here at this very robust conversation we're having about the Elevation Church and our journey so far. It's indeed been 15 years of great impact. And one of the areas where we love to celebrate the impact we've made is in the area of our ministry to children. That's children below the age of 8 years, as well as our ministry to children in the preteen phase, that's 8 to 12 years old, as well as our ministry to the older ones, which are the teenagers from 13 to about 19 years old. Through the years, besides the very focused and specific ministry that we deploy to the children, we also have celebrated an annual vacation Bible school that we hold every summer. We focus on the spiritual development of our children and ensuring that they are also developing and growing in their faith, to own their faith and to enjoy the journey for themselves. We do this usually about summertime, besides all the other initiatives that we do deploy towards our children. It's been very robust through the years, and we're grateful to God for how much it has grown. We also have what we call the Navigate Conference, which is our mentorship conference for teenagers. Through the years, it has also grown from what used to be a week-long daily attendance event to something that has now morphed into a camp experience for these teenagers. So we take them away for a whole week, and we supply both vocational and life skills to the teenagers throughout that week. What typically happens at the start of the week is that we have teenagers who are not quite sure of what to expect, but at the end of the week, they have built lifelong friendships, besides having a bit more clarity about what they want to do with their life skills because of the vocational skills that we're very intentional about providing for them week-long. And I'm talking about life skills and vocational skills that go as far as leadership training, as far as budgeting and financial skills. We teach them things like time management, how to just present yourself in the next phase of life you're going into. We've gone as far sometimes as to hold a school fair for the teenagers, just again to equip them with the skills they need for the next phase and the next stage of life that we see that they're approaching. In addition to what we used to hold simply and strictly in Lagos, we've also branched out to holding Navigate conferences in Port Harcourt as well as Abuja, besides also holding in partnership with a few other training institutes offshore, as well as holding a few outside of Nigeria within Houston, I believe, and Dallas. So we do have a very robust ministry to our teenagers, and all of this is geared towards ensuring that they're approaching the next phase of life with clarity and with some confidence about what they can expect. We also have our ministry to the women here in the Elevation Church. We call our women's ministry the Jewels. And incidentally, as well as celebrating 15 years of the Elevation Church as a whole, we're also celebrating 10 years of holding an annual Made for More conference, which has been our flagship conference to women. Again, the whole objective is to ensure that we're catering to the well-being of this very important demography within our church. God loves all his children, men and women, but we specifically speak to the well-being of women. And what we try to do is to ensure that we're equipping the women in the Elevation as well as those who do connect with us through the ministry of the Jewels, to ensure that we're catering to both the spiritual development of women as well as the vocational skill development of women. So we would always have, for example, a business exhibition at our conference, just to make sure that we're shining God's light on what the women are doing, ensuring that we are doing some form of skill acquisition programs through the years. We've also held grants that we have given women who needed to upscale their businesses, women who needed, just support and help to just break past whatever ceilings they had in their business. And we're very, very proud of the impact we made in the lives of women through the years, just to ensure that we understand, all of us understand, that we all have our part and our place in God's agenda and to ensure that we are giving women the understanding that your voice is critical and your voice is important. We're looking forward to the next 15 years of the Elevation Church and beyond, because we know that these demographies will also be catered to and will also continue to grow in their expression of ministry and in their capacity to live out the calling of God upon their lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Bola. So what we've done essentially is to give you a snapshot of the journey so far and a sneak peek into what the future holds. I'm going to hand the mic over to our global lead pastor, Pastor Godman, the visionary, and he's going to summarize all that has been said thus far and also just share his own heart about what the experience has been leading a church that has started as a church in one location to what has now become a global movement of 30 churches and increasing. Please welcome with me, Pastor Godman Akinlabi.
Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. Please accept my apology on behalf of my wife and I for stepping in very well behind schedule. We're coming from the Bejuleki side of Lagos, and that road has been completely paralyzed for the last 4 hours or 5 hours. We've been in traffic for 3.5 hours, and we deeply apologize. We even thought we would not be able to make it. That's why we said the press conference should go on so that we don't waste your time. So please accept our apologies. Thank you, everyone on the high table, for chipping in all of the different areas of things happening at the Elevation Church the last 15 years. The truth is that the last 15 years has been a journey that no one could have easily computed if we were asked 15 years ago about the things that will happen to our church or with our church or through our church, as the case may be. But truly we can say today that God has been faithful. Truly, when God calls, he backs up the called. And I want to also seize the opportunity to appreciate all of our senior team members and quite a number of them who have been right here the last 15 years. God has really done a lot through all of us. And worthy of note are some of the things that we have spoken about before now in core ministry, which is the spiritual side of what a church should focus on. Tens of thousands of people have passed through our doors and they have been discipled. Now they're scattered all over the world, and some of them have been helped of God to build a really great life, both in their spiritual life and in their vocational life and family. The core of our church is very strong on discipling people who will achieve the highest level of greatness and distinction in life, serving God and humanity with passion. That's actually our vision statement, which will reduce to making greatness common. We truly believe that everyone that God created has a God-given right to experience greatness and live a life of significance. By the way, a life of significance is the life that has transcended survival or success. And most people just stay at that level of trying to survive between having a good life on earth and then spend eternity with God. But we've seen that what God has for us is much more than that. It's beyond survival, and it's even beyond success. Because when you say somebody is successful, you're only judging them based on what they've been able to achieve for themselves. What God actually had in mind, according to Genesis 12 and verse 3, when he spoke to Abraham, he said, come out of your family and your house and then go to a place that I will show you. And he said, I will bless you. I will make your name great. And I think in verse 3 it says, in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. That's what significance is all about. After you've transcended survival and you have achieved success, your influence, your affluence, the freedom, and all that you have, are you now using it to serve yourself or to serve humanity? This is what we're seeing in the life of our members and in the life of our church. And that's what has led us into doing all the different things that you have seen spoken about. I was on a live Instagram event last night, and someone was asking me, so why does Elevation Church do this lot of philanthropic effort? You're just a church. Why can't you just focus on planting churches, winning souls, and all? But you know, one quote of Martin Luther King Jr. that would never leave me was the quote where Martin Luther King Jr. said, any religion that professes to save the soul of man but does not care about the slums that damn them, the poverty that seeks to erode their sense of, humanity, and, the suffering and the lack of capacity to thrive, and just focuses only on religion and their life, and spiritual life, he said it's a moribund religion. And that's what drives us to say everyone, every Nigeria, every non-Nigerian, every human being that God will send through our doors, they must be people who will not only thrive, who will not only succeed, but live a life of significance and experience true greatness. And true greatness is multifaceted, from spiritual to physical, to emotional, to intellectual. And that's why we have schools, Pistis Life and Leadership Institute. We have all kinds of courses that we run with our teenagers, like you've been told. That's why we have a vehicle like Pistis Foundation, which seeks to take kids off the street. We have kids off the street shelter. We have the Ubomi medical outreaches and medical interventions to the underserved community, which has been doing that in thousands, both in surgery and all kinds of things over the years. We also have skill acquisition for young people, street kids, all kinds of things that time will not permit me to get into, and many other things that have been spoken about today. I don't want to rehash everything that has been spoken about already, but I'm just trying to say, look, this is where all this is coming from. And in the last 15 years, what we are seeing is not just an attempt or an effort. We've seen the hand of God helping us to scale. And in the years ahead, we're going to scale even a lot bigger. Yeah. Whether in the area of philanthropy or in the area of church planting, in the area of soul winning, in the area of engaging technology or reaching young people, or representing Christ in unusual ways so that we can reach many more people groups from the young. When you talk about demography or geography, talking about where people are or which season of life they are in, we want to be relevant in how we're able to reach them where they are. And that's why we believe that churches and religious bodies have to be multifaceted in our approach to enriching human life, and not to be monolithic in our approach. And that's what we have focused on these last many years. We are looking forward to the next 5, 10, 15, 20, and beyond, with stronger effort to scale all the things, all the foundations that have been laid in these last 15 years, whether it's in our approach to influencing culture, through our media engagement and creative materials that we throw out, or in engaging technology, or in participating in educating the younger generation, making courses available to them so that they can be self-sufficient. Whatever we do as we go into, or whatever we have done so far, all the foundations have been laid. As we go into the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, It's about scaling this, taking it global, taking it Africa-wide, taking it global, and much more than that, scaling so that we can reach many more people with the goodness of God and with the value chain that has been created in the different touch points that you've heard about. So we are excited about what is ahead of us. And the truth is that it's been a rigorous journey in the last 15 years, but how we find strength not to be weary in well-doing is when we see all the testimonies of changed lives in the multi-dimensional ways that lives have been changed. And I can tell you categorically that we're not tired, we're not fatigued. We're looking forward to some of the greatest opportunities ahead of us to change the narrative around Nigeria and around Africa, and just allow God to do the things that only God can do. But we're continually going to yield ourselves as vessels unto honor for God to use us, and then raise many more from the people coming behind us who will take the baton from us at auspicious times ahead of us to take what we're doing to the next level. So we're grateful to God for how far He's led us, and we're excited about what is still yet ahead of us. But much more, we're excited about the people that God will raise to take all this to a whole new level. Thank you very much for honoring us with your presence today, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. What a very insightful statement by Pastor Godman Akinlabi. So we'll quickly take 2 quick questions because of our time. We'll only be able to accommodate just 2 questions. But before we do that, there's just a question I will take online while we set up to take questions in the house here. And the question speaks about men. This is given the crisis that a lot of men globally have faced in the last 10 years. How does the church plan to further engage and equip men for leadership in their families, workplaces, and society? So before he answers, please, those of us that have questions, can we just come up to the mic? So we'll just take those questions in succession. Thank you.
I'll say 1 or 2 things about that, and I may allow Pastor Leonard Thomas, who leads men's ministry globally here, to also maybe chip in if he has 1 or 2 more things to do. One of the things we've realized is that men are becoming, quote unquote, marginalized because there's a narrative. It's beyond a narrative, it's a reality that women and children always fall into the category of the vulnerable globally. And in the last about 20 years or so, since the close of the 90s, the emphasis has been on taking care of the vulnerable, women and children, and creating opportunities for women especially, because the belief is that women don't leave children behind. It's men that leave children and walk away. So when we empower women to start businesses, to find their voice, to do something, they will take care of the family. And that has been fantastic. But in the midst of that, men have now suffered a lot of neglect. And it's now telling. We're in the age of women that are empowered. And many more women are getting more empowered than men because of the opportunities that have been created for them, which was supposed to be a good thing. But the resultant effect on men is that men are feeling marginalized and the psyche is quite low. And for us as a church, what we have done and what we plan to do is to scale our impact with men by putting them into groups where they can be mentored, where they can be empowered, where they can be encouraged, and then where they can be taught on how to gain skills at leading women, leading empowered women. Yeah. Because the issue is that many of our fathers who trained us were not used to leading empowered women. They led women who were, maybe for the want of a better word, easier to lead because they were most of the time subdued. But life has changed, and it takes a combination of spiritual wisdom, a tempered soul, and an enlightened mind to actually lead empowered women and raise godly children. And that's our focus. We want to be able to empower our men to develop their faith, to develop themselves vocationally in terms of finances, to connect in social groups. And what else have I missed out? Yeah. So it's fellowship, finance, faith. Yeah. Those are the three core areas. Yeah. Fellowship, finance, faith, and fun. Yeah. Those are the four core areas where we are striving to create modules and opportunities for our men to be empowered. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, my name is Ivy Kano. I have 3 questions from TVC. The first one is, are these like NGOs registered under the church? Just for clarification. The second one, why the choice for the team? But I think you addressed it. Then what are those specific events for the anniversary?
Very much.
Okay, the first question about whether these are registered organizations, I'll say yes. It's a capital yes. Almost all of our social intervention vehicles are registered. Pistis Foundation is a fully registered non-governmental organization. Pistis Life and Leadership Institute is a fully registered institution. And many of the other things that we do. Our shelter is fully registered with the Lagos State government Ministry of Social Welfare Development. For all the medical outreaches that we run, we partner with Lagos State Ministry of Health to be able to run, and they vet everything that we do. So all the things that we do are fully registered, and the ones that do not need registration have been brought under the arm of government that is in charge of regulating such activities. In terms of the anniversary itself, it is a month-long set of activities that we have and celebration. But worthy of note is that this Friday actually happens to be the exact 15th anniversary of our church. Our church started on the 10th of October 2010, which we gladly call 10-10-10, and this Friday is 10-10-25. Yeah, so we will be having a celebratory service where we'll be hosting my mentor and pastor, Dr. Sam Adeyemi, founder of Daystar Christian Center, and we'll have Pastor Nathaniel Bassi lead us in worship. It's just a celebratory event and a time of inspiration for us, for our leaders and church members. And on Sunday in our services as well, we're going to have Thanksgiving services across all of our campuses and expressions within Lagos, outside of Lagos, and around the world. But after that, there will be a number of social intervention events which we have segmented across all of our 30 physical locations around the world. In London, England, in Canada, in different places, all our centers are marking the anniversary with a social intervention event focused on reaching their community. Let me give you an example. Our church in the city of London is on a campaign. They're raising £15,000 for the locality where the church is located, which is Islington in London. The Islington community has a purpose to resource young entrepreneurs who are starting small businesses. So there's an NGO called Islington Giving, and we're partnering with them raising that money so we can give them to be able to empower, I think, about 25 or so entrepreneurs. So that is in London. So what we're doing is not only in Nigeria. All of our churches, I saw what Ikoyi Church posted, what Life Point Church is doing. Some of them are doing things with police, which is, what do you call it, something with the force? Love the Force. Love the Force campaign is about giving gifts to all of our policemen within a certain catchment area and other law enforcement agencies like LASMA. So we're going to go around the street, just give them gift as they're serving. And that's going to happen in different places around. So whether in Port Harcourt, Abuja, Ibadan, all of our centers are all doing one thing or the other. And that spreads across the entire month. In the midst of the month also, we'll have our Made for More conference, which is for ladies, which we hold on the 24th, 25th, and 26th. It's still part of commemorating our anniversary. We later, towards the end of the month, also will be through another vehicle of the Elevation Church, which is the Exponential Network, which from where we train and impact pastors and church leaders, even from outside of our own church. We will be having a special event to give away to the body of Christ. We've done that many times in partnership with the PFN. This time around, we're hosting the founding pastor of Hillsong Church, Australia, Pastor Brian Houston, who is one of the most notable men of God around the world today. He's going to be visiting, and his visit for us is geared more towards empowering other pastors within the city. So there's just so many things that are going to happen, and it's starting from now till, it has started from October 1st with the Find Your Voice event, where we had thousands of young people. A lot of them got grants to start businesses. We had deal room. We had different things. 10 laptops were given out, to young people that day. All kinds of things happened. And then another one that's worthy of note is the Ubomi medical and surgical outreach, which is also going to happen in the final week of October. So the events are a lot. We will do an aggregation of it and probably send it to you so that it will aid the ease of communicating it. Another important thing that I must say is that we, at the Elevation Church, we literally are always ready to show gratitude to our volunteers. Yeah. Generally we call them around here in Nigeria church workers in the vineyard. But we choose to call them volunteers. They are volunteering to serve God. Yeah, we don't ever want to forget that is a choice that they made, and we don't take it for granted. So we're going to be having big parties for all the people who volunteer at the Elevation Church, and it's a fantastic opportunity for them to wine and dine, and that's going to happen across all of our churches as well. That's taking place this Sunday evening. Yeah, this next Sunday evening. It's a big party for all the people who volunteer at the Elevation Church at the different locations. So just a lot of activities across the month. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The last question, please.
Good evening, Pastor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jerome Obonenta, Arise TV. My question is quite simple and straight. All of the activities that have been mentioned, they are quite very wonderful. But there's one aspect I didn't hear, and I don't know. Is there any aspect for sports, for the young ones? Sports. Yes. Is there a provision for sports? Because we have young talents out there under the bridge, on the streets, that if they don't get a platform like this, they cannot discover them. So that's just my question. Is there an angle that we can see how we can catch them young from the church and make them better persons? Thank you.
All right, so I'll speak to that quickly. So the Pistis Empowerment Foundation actually has a platform that to
children who are on the streets, where we bring them out and we train them on football, to be precise. We have a number of other sports initiatives that we drive for these children. This year alone, we picked out a number of children from Jakonde, for example. I think close to about 150 of them have gone through different football trainings. And we've also been able to have championship matches. In fact, just last week, we actually paid the winners during the entire program. The first one ran for 7 weeks, or about 7 to 9 weeks, but there's an ongoing program that we've also kicked off. The second one kicked off just last weekend, and it will continue like that till the end of the year. So it's an ongoing football academy that the foundation has set up to cater to these children who are from the streets. In addition to that, the church also has the Teens Nation that caters to sports as well. So there are some children who are, teenagers within the Teens Nation who actually now are part of a football academy, and they engage a coach. The same for the children who are on the streets. We have coaches who have been trained, who also train these children. And, the goal is to not just, get them to be busy with football, but eventually get them to become champions in the football space. All right, so I'll just leave it at that. I'm sure maybe Pastor Busola has 1 or 2 things to say regarding this.
Okay, just to add to that very quickly, excuse me. One of the things that has also emanated between the two collaborations, Pistis Foundation and our teens ministry, is the fact that one of such children actually got an education scholarship fully funded to Green Springs, right? And that opportunity came around as a result of this football coaching that happened. So beyond just upskilling them in the sports area, is also education that is being provided. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. So on that note, we'll draw the curtains on the press conference for today. We would like to thank everyone, the ladies and gentlemen of the press, the members of the Elevation Church family present, as well as esteemed guests in our midst. Across the speakers, we've heard stories of impact and reflection on the incredible 15 years of the Elevation Church. And we also caught a glimpse of, even much more to come. So once again, thank you for coming. And as we experience the month-long activities, to celebrate the anniversary, we also invite the members of the press to be a part of this, to experience and also to extend the stories of the impact further. Thank you once again for coming. Do have a wonderful trip to our different destinations. Thank you very much. And yes, we'll do that. Yeah. Thank you for coming. So we have the media pictures now. God bless you.